Thanks for listening to the Youthology Podcast with Jeff Grinnell. Be sure to check out all of our available resources on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or online at youthology.com. Now, let's jump into the podcast.
So 4 conversations. Number 1, schooling. How do we help our parents do schooling? Because they are intimidated by it. So I called a couple of parents and got some ideas. I called a homeschool mom. I've been on the homeschool. If you are interested, you need to visit the homeschool website because it's got some COVID-19 ideas for parents. And then I did some research from the Department of Education for the government. And this is what I found. I wrote down some of these things. I want to read these to you. 15 states have canceled school for the rest of the school year. Not all of them, but 15 states have. Parents now have the decision on whether they want to hold their child back or let them go into the next grade. Okay, so now the government is placing that into the parents' hands. So number 1, 15 states have shut down school. Number 2, parents are allowed to choose whatever grade they want their kid to go into. Number 3 is the grades are now moving to a pass-fail in over 40 of the states. Because they're getting behind, the students don't have to, they're not, in 40 of the states, they're not getting a letter grade. They are getting a pass-fail grade, which takes a ton of pressure off them in the learning. And really, how can you measure some of that when the testing is, when they weren't ready for it? At the university level, online education is a little easier because we've been ready for that. But at the high school level, even though some of that is going on with their Moodle and Blackboard, those things, it's this new territory for them too. So they've moved to a pass-fail. The other thing they've said is that GPAs for the students cannot be lowered, but they could be raised. So like if you hear this from your students, maybe some of your students are getting some kind of pressure because of, listen, you know this, because they have to perform to get a scholarship for a school they can't pay for. So talk to them that right now there are states who have said to the education, according to the Department of Education, students' GPAs cannot be lowered, but they could be raised if that student's doing, a certain amount of work. And then the other thing that they have found out, the U.S. Department of Education has found out, is that online participation in the schools is suffering greatly. As a matter of fact, they're saying that it's only over a third or so of the classroom students that are connecting. So it's really difficult to for some students to be able to say to a student, I can't really raise your GPA because you haven't shown up, and they want to lower it, but the states have said, don't put the pressure on the kids. You're not allowed to lower the grades no matter what's going on. Now, obviously with all of that to me, that helps us as youth leaders to just talk to them if they're fearful and they don't know that. If some students are like, man, there's no way I'm going to make this. I'm going to have to sit back a grade. Tell them, listen, where you entered into this COVID thing, you're going to walk out of it. You can't get worse. Now, if they were already worse, that's their problem, So, but maybe that will help you in talking to your students. So with schooling, let me give you 2 things and I'll move on to the next thing. 2 ways to help your parents. Number 1, set a time of study. Okay, so maybe it's not 5 hours a day or 4 hours a day. Maybe it's 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. If they would set the time, then it's not like the kids just kind of wasting their day whenever it comes up and getting behind. Okay, so tell parents to set a specific time. Second, control the environment. Okay, tell parents, set the phone down, put all the phones here in this bag or whatever. You are not in your room, you're at the front room, or you're in the, wherever. Help them to control the environment. No TVs on at the time. And I think those couple of practical things will really help the students to get focused. Make sure that you are muting yourself if you're not talking, then we won't get all that background noise. Third area with this, let me give you one more, is and this is really important because they're probably not going to do this, but if parents are having a hard time with their students, tell them to contact the school, send an email to the teacher. I talked to a teacher today who was like, please, I would love to hear from parents. Listen, I think you guys know we're in this for the right reason, but so are teachers. These teachers in education feel the same calling that we do, especially the Christian ones, man. You know that. The Christian teachers I've had through the years as my youth leaders, wow, huge help, okay? So there's some creative ways and again, I will blog all of these, so you'll be able to check these out too if you're missing these and you just want to listen and not take notes. Number 2, discipleship. Let's get spiritual on this, okay, and take it outside of not necessarily just the schooling, but how about discipleship? Listen, this is a great opportunity for parents to get involved in theology with their students, with our students, with their kids. Think about this. I know 3 weeks are gone, but these students are spending more time with their parents than ever in their life. More time as a family unit than ever in their life. Other than when they were an infant and they couldn't communicate. But right now, these students are getting quality time with their parents. So, they're getting a quantity of time. We're trying to help you to make it quality time, right? So I would tell you, create family devotions once a day. And I know some of you have students who are not in a Christian home, and maybe they're in a blended home, and that blended home isn't even healthy. Maybe they're in a classic home, and that home's not healthy. But for those of us that can help to control this, talk to parents about setting up dinner. Now, that dinner time could be so powerful when it comes to discipleship. Whether that's a verse, whether that's a book, whether that's soap, whether that's going over a topical study for the week. This week, we're going to look at, whatever. Or whether that's going through the Alpha video series. Listen, I know most parents don't like to do this because they don't feel qualified. They don't know how to communicate theology to their kids. So open up the Alpha Youth Series video. We talked about that a little bit last week. And it's 25 minutes of elite discipleship that parents can use and has questions at the end and all of that, okay? So that would be one thing. The other thing is, I want you guys to create a document, okay? I'm gonna give you some homework assignment. A document of your series, okay? The series that you're doing, little study guide, and send it to the parents. Or send it to the students. If the parents aren't going to do this and we know that setting is not good, then at least send that to the parents so that they can have it, right? Or to the students so they could go over that. Maybe they want to, maybe they're witnessing and they're trying to win a parent, and they could say, listen, every time we have dinner, I want to redeem dinner. And can I just tell you guys tell our family what the youth ministry is doing right now? Wouldn't it be powerful? So create just a study guide for each week, and then email that or make that available on your different platforms. So schooling ideas, some discipleship ideas. Let me give you one more discipleship idea. One-on-ones. Parents, siblings, instead of maybe just a dinner, creating a one-on-one time where you go for a walk with them, or you sit down and just ask them, what do you think? I'm going to get into some conversation starters in a minute here, but That one-on-one time could be critical to rebuild a family relationship right now. Okay. All right. Let me go to a third one, and that's conversations. What are the kind of questions or conversation starters can parents use with teenagers and teenagers use with parents? Okay. So I'm going to give you a few, and then I want you guys to maybe throw some of these out. I have like 7 or 8 of them here. So let me just give you 2 or 3, and then we can maybe hit those 2 if you guys have ideas on how to do that. Number 1, talk about your greatest memory in our family. What is the greatest family memory that we've ever had? That might be a vacation. That might be a tragedy. Like maybe the most formative moment that a student has had has been a tragedy. So think that one through, with your parents. Maybe that could be in a document you send to them, or you could send this video. I'll have this posted, by tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow after, maybe the day after, I'll have this posted, and the parents can see this. But family memories are, vacation time. Ask them, what's your favorite restaurant? When we are done with COVID-19, what is the first restaurant that we should go to as a family, right? Just to get families talking, the excitement there, and maybe parents can learn what their child's favorite food is or something. So ask about that. Ask them, hey, who are you hanging out with the most on social media? Have you like got any like best friends? Anybody that's kind of a new friend? Get into their circle as a parent, or get to know them a little better. Now, for students, they could talk to their parents about things like, listen, what are you worried about? Is there anything I can do to help? How are we doing on our finances? Do you want to talk to us about? Some mature kids would be really helpful. If my kids came to me and said that when they were teenagers, that would have just broken the walls down, so that we could at least say, oh man, listen, we're going to be fine. We are being tighter. We're not going to, whatever. So if you go over some of those things with those conversations, I got so many more, but I want to hit this last area. Saying, if we had $100, what would we spend it on right now? That'd be a great conversation for teenagers, and their parents. All right, last area. How can we help parents with their students? The last area would be recreation. Man, how critical recreation is right now, because it can be so easy to just be stagnant and not get anything done and put on the the COVID-19, whatever they call it, and the quarantine 19, whatever, and waste of time. So here's some ideas: family bike ride, family walk, family obstacle course. Now, I realize some of these may not be teen things. We love to take walks in my family in our neighborhood, and maybe if some of your parents have younger kids or whatever, you could help them with this too. You could post this at your church website. Creating an obstacle course at home, doing creative homework assignments, like the explosions you've seen on YouTube and all that stuff that people are doing. Bike ride. Maybe we can add in some of that stuff here too, okay? Some creative family stuff. A daycation. Listen, it would be so easy for them to just take a daycation. Hop in the car, go for a drive somewhere and go do something. Go to a park. They can still get outside. And in a lot of places, Texas, dude, you guys can go anywhere you want pretty much, So some places are not in lockdown. So, we have to take this information a little bit further and maybe apply it to your setting, right? So listen, there's those 4 areas on how to help parents with schooling, how to help parents with discipleship, how to help parents with certain conversation starters, and then how to help parents with some recreational things to do. So what I want to do is to open this up to some Q&A. If you want to follow up on this, you can follow up on the videos that will be posted at youthology.com or the iTunes, where you listen to it there. You can follow up and you can DM, you can email back, conversation starters with me on this, and I'll add them into the content also. Okay?